Hi, I'm Justin.
Also, I hate the way my voice sounds, so if you can do whatever Photoshop does to voices, make me sound awesome.
And this is my lovely friend,
The beauty in the eyes of the beholder, and it's just about getting into the seat of being the beholder.
Hayley.
I don't think you have to be particularly perceptive. I just think you have to look up.
This podcast is mostly just her telling me stories.
If you expose yourself to the possibility that this might be really awkward, there can be something just really cool on the other side of it.
She thinks that her life and way of looking at things are
Oh, I was kind of waiting on you. I thought you were getting your stuff ready. You're waiting on me?
pretty normal.
You got to edit out all the misinformation about the Amish.
Maybe you can relate.
I would like a chance to re-sing the Amish Paradise.
If you want lighthearted stories
All right, you want to talk about goats?
and stream of consciousness,
I just woke up and needed some friends, and so I bought them.
then you're gonna like the Sunny Side Up podcast.
Sunny side up, sunny side up, sunny side up, sunny side up.
So, if you're at all like me, you may feel that you're living in a world that can be a bit overwhelming and confusing at times. I'm also a huge fan of podcasts, documentaries, docudrama stories, and of just information in general. Between all of that and the social media and news, sometimes our brains can feel like they're on overload. Hayley and I hope that this podcast can be something of an antidote to all of that. Like little jello shots of joy and distraction. None of it is too serious or really too informative. Mostly it's just two friends who have conversational chemistry talking about whatever enters the minds of relatively ADHD people. We hope you enjoy.
Reminds me of that. What was that one song? I Love the Way You Lie. I think that was like an Eminem and Rihanna song.
Oh, yeah.
We should probably have another episode of me and you trying to sing songs that we don't know. I love the way you lie. I really don't remember. The lyrics I remember were pretty intense. Yeah. That was the one where
She's burning. You're
Right.
going to stand there and watch me burn.
Yeah.
But that's different from the one with the monster under the bed, which would have
No, it
gone
isn't.
well.
That's the same one. Oh, is it? Oh my gosh.
I don't
okay.
think so. There's the one with the monster under bed, because it always makes me kind of scratch my ankles to make sure they're covered, and I don't know why that is the thing when.
You're very protective of your ankles. I
Well,
like that.
yeah, like ghost stories and bedtime stories and everything. You don't want the covers tucked in all around you to make sure absolutely everything is secured.
Yeah.
The ankles just feel like a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Well, they technically are a part of
Like,
your
have
body.
you ever had a turtle get loose in your car and you're wearing flip-flops or
does.
something,
Yes.
and you're kind of afraid that it's
course.
going to scratch on your ankles?
Yeah, no, that happens at least every other week. I have a turtle get loose in the car, and then it's a whole lot of thinking about, what could happen to my toes and ankles.
It's only after it does happen that you become hyper-aware that it could happen again.
Mm-hmm.
But to those of us who have had
That
a
experience.
turtle or a frog or one of those jumping spiders get loose in your car with your ankles exposed, and you just know it's going to go up a pants leg.
Yeah. Now, I will say, anything up the pants leg that doesn't belong, like a rodent or insect, that is a certified bad day.
Yes.
Bad
My
time.
great-grandfather, one of our classic family stories, he had company over to their house in Fort White, where we are both claiming some
Right.
some childhood memories from that little town. But he's entertaining people in the house, and a mouse runs across the floor and darts up his pants leg. But so as not to off-put the company, he just casually crosses his leg and grabs his pants with his hand and squeezes the mouse and holds it in a grip
Until it dies.
with his. I don't know if he killed it. I don't know if he squeezed it to death, but he at least held it there in his pants leg with his hands until the company left, and he could quietly get the mouse out of his pants. Perhaps it's growing up hearing that story that makes me a little more concerned about whether my ankles are covered when things might be crawling around or trying to grab them. But I thought every kid was a little concerned about what might be under their bed. You didn't ever try to leap across the bed to the wall to turn the lights on so that your feet didn't have to hit the floor?
No, that's fair. I think I did have in the closet and under the bed. I don't know where that comes from because that seems universal. But,
it might be the turtles crawling around the floorboard of your car.
Right.
That gives rise to what could be under your bed. If that's in your car, what could be...
Yeah. There is a straight line between those two.
Certainly.
Right. Yeah, no, that is a good point. I wonder, so think of like cultures, the more ancient cultures in like India, Africa, South America, whatever, that just slept like on like little straw mats right against the dirt.
Yeah, much safer.
I know. I wonder like where are I guess the monsters just like live in the woods, which genuinely they probably do. That's a really interesting thing. Yeah. Where do their monsters hide? I'll have to, if I ever interview like an indigenous person, I'll be like, all right, monsters.
What were your childhood fears?
Right.
Yeah.
And if they tell me something like, oh, poisonous snake or something, I'm like, no, like, do you know about monsters under the bed? It's going to be a whole long, very confusing discussion when I explain to them about this bed with like a mattress.
A new thing raised, they should be afraid of.
Right,
yes.
Off the floor. I'm sure they'll really understand what I'm talking about.
And they may have no fear whatsoever because the indigenous cultures, like I'm watching Planet Earth, right? And there's these tribes, and they make little platforms in the very tops of these trees that are a good bit taller than the trees that we have here. So you're talking about like a small platform, 40 or 50 or 60 feet in the air. And yeah, that's where they and their children are just like bedding down for the night. So a monster is the least of their concerns. In a neighborhood where you got poison dart frogs and ants that can tote you off, like a whole army of them.
That's what I'm saying.
Then maybe the monster under the bed is the least of their concerns. They'll be like, yeah, no monster's climbing this tree to get me out of this platform that I sleep on 70 feet in the air every night, which is...
Because they know, for them, it could be that there are monsters down there, but they're like, we've gone so far up the tree that even the monsters are scared to go up this tall, this high. I like that.
You just have to go to the worst place so that no monster, even the worst monsters, are not willing to go to the place that you call home.
I like that. By the way, do you think monsters, I never thought about this before with bunk beds, but do you feel like, I mean, that's our like Western civilization version of living 75 feet up in a tree. Do you feel like when you're on the top bunk of a bunk bed, there's as much worry about the monster being directly under you?
No, because there's another sibling between you and the monster.
Yeah.
It's the whole I only have to outrun you situation with the bear.
Fair.
I was the top bunk sibling.
Ah.
Yeah.
So a lot of not worrying about monsters.
She was going to
Yeah.
she was going to be taken first.
She was bait.
So.
Yeah. Like, let me know how that works out down there. I like that.
Unless it's a flying monster, in which case I didn't think that through very well.
I mean, yeah. When it comes to monsters, there's a lot of, they have a lot of range. And they're monster games.
So the pickup line, like not all bad things coming out of the courthouse. That makes it sound like it's a drag to be in there, but there's a lot of good. There's the the helpful farming tips. But one of the ladies I worked with in a courthouse, she gave me a signed book. It was just a novel that was written, a man had written a novel about the kind of work that we do, which is kind of an obscure area to be writing about in the first place, but it was interesting to us as she gave it to me, and it was signed, which is my love language. Signed books are my love language.
Okay.
But I'm reading the book, and I open it up, and I see that the editor of the book was a college professor that I had when I went to the University of Alabama for just a hot minute, and
ooh, look at you.
The professor that I had, who had nothing to do with this career field, by the way, it was like not related at all. He was an English professor, and I do not work in an English career. Yeah. But he was the one who edited the book. Felt very Circle of Life.
Yeah.
Like, look at all these parts coming back around. I didn't know if he would remember me because I was not there very long, but I dropped him an email, and he pretended like he remembered me.
I like that.
Yeah.
You're memorable.
Somewhat.
Yeah.
But a good signed book, either way. I was pretty excited to have it. I think books in general are probably my love language.
Really? Is it just, I mean, it's because you're, I don't know if the listeners to this are aware of this, but you're former Mensa member. So, I mean...
Subtle flex.
Subtle flex. I don't even know how subtle that is. That's like serious flex.
No, I think that they are much more accepting than most people would assume. Like if you mail them a check for membership, they did not do much vetting of the application. I just wanted to know if there were any membership benefits or any coupons or significant discounts.
Available like in the outside world or to like smart people things?
Yeah, like you join a club and sometimes it'll come with a T-shirt or a discount card or something.
Yeah.
No, not so much. So I didn't renew my membership. You should get a
percentage off of like certain board games that are like super strategy oriented.
The Mensa certified games, and they may through their gift shop or something they may offer it. But the main thing I saw was a discount on car insurance, and I was already pegged out on the number of discounts that the car insurance would accept.
I wonder if Mensa people get into more or less accidents than those of us that are dumber.
We sit there and overthink it till we're pummeled at the four-way stop. So it's that would be a good question.
Yeah.
Is there a study conducted that looks that deeply into car accident statistics?
Totally unproven and mildly racist, but I think funny lore. There's this idea that Asian folk here in America get into like not into like the really bad accidents, but just into more frequent accidents. And the idea is, because I remember harassing a couple Asian folks about this and asking them, I pretended like I believed it, which I don't know if I believe it or not. I just heard it. But I pretend like I believe it. And their answer was, yes, we do, but it's because we get confused by all of the options. Literally to your point of like, there's too many things going on. And so they're like, they overanalyze and then like, bam. And then like, whatever.
Relatable.
Which makes me so happy in a weird way. I don't want anybody to get into an accident, but just like if it's just a minor fender bender, but it's because you're really smart and you're overanalyzing things versus like those of us that just have less brain power where it's like, okay, it's going to point in the direction. And then like hopefully your guardian angel carries you through the intersection without too much contact, which is how that's how I drive.
But I think that's probably a metaphor for life in general, and that, like, Harry Truman, I think, was the president who said C students run the world, or the world is run by C students.
That's true.
Yeah, it's probably because the real brainiacs are out there overthinking, afraid to take a step because they've calculated the risks or, whatever the case may be.
Well, C students, let's face it, the kids easily get A's. Like, life comes so easy, there's not enough struggle or whatever, so they have to have a lot of intrinsic motivation. Back to this intrinsic motivation idea. I think the kids that are getting C's, they're probably D to F students who are putting their heart and soul in and struggling to get a C, and that is why they're a self-selecting sample of like, okay, this kid is working as hard as he or she can to get that C, and is just going to outwork the smarty pants who everything just comes easily to. That's what I found. That elbow in my grease extensive study
is what's getting you. I don't know. The C students in my life were naturally as intelligent as the others. They just inherently understood that not everything matters.
That's so fair.
So they put their resources into the things that they valued. And had a better time than a lot of the A and the struggling students. Wow. I mean, the A students and those that were like working super hard, and they just made it count.
I love that.
Yeah, less effort.
Yeah.
Equal or further distance.
Yeah, I like that. It's sort of like the idea. I think Donald Trump was a believer in, like, don't work out too hard and stuff, which I personally subscribe to, not because of Donald Trump, to be super clear, but his idea was, like, working out or expending a lot of energy on stuff shortened your life, so, like, reserve your energy for the things you really care about, which in his case is, like...
I would like to know himself.
Right. Well, his is, like, I think he likes McDonald's, buying large buildings... and doing what are those the reality shows? Yeah, doing reality shows, and so like that's where he saves his energy for. So, he may have a little bit of a tummy, but that's okay
because look how well he's done.
Yeah,
buying big buildings and
and he's got a super cool hairstyle. So, I mean, he's kind of got the whole package.
What kind of pickup lines would he bring to the table?
Oh my gosh, a Donald Trump pickup line.
Oh no, we already kind of know what they are. They were all over the media.
Okay, fair.
How to grab women. You don't need pickup lines when you just have brute force.
That's fair. That's fair. But maybe yes. Anyways, I think I'm gonna avoid that whole topic. I just felt like I almost stepped in a landmine and I went right around it.
I just had to know where you were going with Donald Trump advice. I was like, which nugget are we chasing right now? I need to know. What should I incorporate into my worldview here?
Use Donald Trump's advice sparingly, as would be my recommendation.
Yeah.
I think Donald Trump's advice mostly works for Donald Trump. That would be my guess.
That would be my guess. I think that all of the subcontractors that helped to renovate his buildings and build his buildings never got paid for their labor would also agree with you that Donald Trump's advice works for Donald Trump.
Right. Buy my courses so that I can get rich, and like the little asterisk at the very bottom, if you read closely, is like, but don't follow it yourself. Yeah, this is probably true.
So true.
Yeah.
Hello, lovely friends. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. And it would mean the world if you would tell other people about this podcast and maybe even spam your social media accounts with just how much you're enjoying it. If you are, of course. Also, commenting and rating us on whatever platform you're downloading or streaming from is incredibly helpful to a little startup podcast like this one. On the other hand, if you are dissatisfied with your listening experience, please leave all of that hate on someone else's podcast. Just maybe to confuse them a little bit, right? But most of all, we hope you keep looking up and looking for the sunny side of life.